Welcome, race fans, to the MPEC Napa Auto Parts 200 here at Chicagoland. This amazing 1.5-mile racetrack in the middle of nowhere, right here, showcasing such a wonderful race for the Belly Up Sports Cup Series here. Joining me today, David Huckleberry, the producer, showing you these wonderful, wonderful shots from this amazing 1.5-mile track. Joining me today also is David Westergreen, my co-announcer, as well as myself, Gerald Campbell, your lead announcer here. Excited to get the second round of the playoffs going here as these drivers are setting lap times right now. This is our playoff scenarios. This is the second round. Right now, I believe the only driver that has locked himself in is Ethan Stanley with that win that he got last week at the road course. Tyler Fode leads the point standings with Matthew Weeks right behind him. Our final four drivers are the ones that are looking at the points in desperation mode to try to see if they can gain as many points going into this race before we go on to the elimination round for the following race after this. Jonathan Cutlip is the borderline driver. David Tooker's looking out as well. Scott Crump, Jesse Racimus, and Johnny Thomas. Those are our drivers that are on that cut line looking to try to see if they can gain as many spots as they can tonight. Well, Dave, I'm excited for this race. This is a racetrack right now that we've seen in practice that has definitely clumped them all together, almost like a speedway package scenario for the first couple laps. It's going to lead to some exciting racing in the early parts, isn't it?
Yeah, it's certainly going to be exciting, especially on the short runs. These guys are going to be packed up. Heard it's going to be hilarious to spectate, but the worst thing to drive. So drivers not real excited about this race, but I think we will be excited watching it, and as fans and spectators and announcers tonight. These guys are going to be put to the limit, right? There's going to be a lot of close quarters racing. It's going to be easy to make a small mistake and ruin the nights of many. But as the tires wear in the typical Chicagoland style that we saw for many years, this track has some green flag characteristics to it. It's going to be at least a two-stop race for some of these guys. So there's going to be mistakes possible all throughout the field. And I think, the way you're going to be able to pass for the better portion of this race is going to be on pit road via mistakes, via smart strategy and track position. That's what is going to win this race tonight. And who wins this pole that we're about to show up, that's, I think, a big advantage, getting you that clean air early in the event.
Well, qualifying just has wrapped up. We're about to see the starting lineup here to see who got pole, and that would be Mr. Ethan Burrell himself, driving for Do Good Motorsports, able to get that pole here tonight in front of Trey Holmes for Fueled Up Racing. Garrison Hogan was able to get third place here in qualifying. Tate Lytle fourth, Ryan Gable in fifth, Ethan Stanley, last week's winner, going to be starting from the sixth position. David Tooker, who is in that blue outlined vehicle, one of those drivers trying to see if they can gain points. Unfortunate what happened to him last week's going to try to see if he can bounce back here, starting from the 7th position. Nick Indelicato starting from the 8th position, Corey Abbott 9th, R.C. Anderson starting from 10th, Leighton Norgard 11th, and Nick Massey will round out the top 12.
Gavin Hibbs will start 13th alongside Chad Frankenfield there in 14th. Regular season champion Matthew Weeks starts 15th tonight with Ryan Schold going from 16th. Jonathan Cutlip will start 17th with Jesse Racimus, the Daytona winner, going from 18th. Michael Hosack will start 19th with Chris Stouffer starting in 20th. Rockingham winner Johnny Thomas, already almost in a bit of a must-win situation. He'll go from 21st. Tyler Fode, the current points leader, will go from 22nd. Bit of an uncharacteristic run from him in qualifying. 23rd will be Seth Rawls, and 24th will be Justin Fortner.
Starting from the 25th position is Wyatt Canadle. 26th, also trying to see if he can gain some points. Going to be starting deep in the field in 26th is Scott Rump. 27th is Justin Wadsworth. Joe Normans will start from 28th. Casey Hatch, 29th. Justin Vandermeerl in 30th. Kyle Hanshaw, 31st. Brent Jones, 32nd. Joshua Clark, 33rd. Mark Rebellis, 34th. Richie Hearn, 35th, and Carlos making another start here, going to be starting from the 36th position.
Michael Goodman will start 37th. Jeff Green will start 38th, 2000 Busch Series champ. Josh Personette will start 39th, with Hunter Smith starting in 40th. Ty McIntosh will roll from 41st. Dusty Dewar will roll from 42nd, and Andrew Rucker. Sonny D will start from the last position.
That is our full field. We will have 43 drivers starting tonight for the Napa Auto Parts 200. 134 laps, people. These drivers are going to be looking at trying to make this first run last, try to see if they can gain the spots. From what everyone is saying, you're going to want to get the positions early on, as it gets difficult to pass as the tires start to wear out. We're going to figure out how that all shapes up front here. Ethan Burrell is going to be leading the field in front of Trey Holmes. See if the do-good driver is going to be able to get his second win of the season. The pace car lights are off, folks. We're ready to get going green here at Chicagoland. And the pace car is going to be coming down pit road, going back over to Ethan Burrell as they get to the restart line where the racing gets good. And the good get racing. We're going to go green flag for the second round of the playoffs for the stay tuned, or for the, I messed that all up, for elite racing here. Ethan Burrell able to get going. I missed one race and I messed up the start here, but we're green flag. Ethan Burrell gets out to a really good start at the front of the field, able to get out to about a 2-car length lead over, it looks like that's the 36 of Garrison Hogan running in.
Yep, side by side with Trey Holmes. Trey will yield second to Garrison Hogan. Ryan Gable in right behind, and then it's looks like 3 wide between Tooker, Stanley, and Lytle for 4th place. I think that'll be won by Gable, and now Stanley clears Tooker and Tate Lytle, the teammates there from Pro Edge Racing. And yeah, all that's behind Ethan Burrell, and the top 10 have kind of strung out, singled out. And as they've told us tonight, it's going to be really tough to pass. I think the outside and inside lines, with the lack of horsepower in this next-gen car, very even lines. It's kind of easy to just run medium full throttle all the way through the center of the corner, high corner speeds. Not a whole lot of separation from the front of the field all the way to the back.
Yeah, it looks like everyone in the front's trying to see if they can run that bottom lane. There are a few drivers trying to get the outside lane with the momentum, seeing if they can be able to make the passes up there. Oh, one of those drivers up front there is Ryan Gable, starting to make a move on the outside of Trey Holmes. That's going to be a battle for third. That's not a driver that's very cautious about his tires. Ryan Gable's going to try to see if he can steam his way up to the front, and looks like he's going to be almost side by side for that second place. Already some really exciting racing at the front of the field here.
Gable jumps to that top side, but if either Burrell or Hogan jumps up there in front of him, it'll take all the air off the nose of that 0-1 car. He's benefiting from the clean air up top, and you can see the inside line is just a little bit better if you can't keep that thing wound up. David Tooker's up to 5th already. He's made his way forward. Trey Holmes fallen back a little bit, but Trey usually starts off a little bit slower, works into the longer runs for that 88 car. And if we can get a quick up-close shot while they single out here on Trey Holmes' car, that's a pretty paint scheme. That thing with the North Carolina yellow, the Jordan logo on it, man, that thing looks really, really sharp.
Yeah, as you say, Trey Holmes' signature move is to drop back and try to see if he can make his way back up to the front. He doesn't want to get too far back. As we stated, it's harder and harder to pass once you get back there in dirty air. Back there.
Battle for the lead.
Battle for the lead, as it looks like Garrison Hogan able to get it. We will have a change of lead here at the start-finish line, and they're now trying to make it 3 wide for second place.
Both of these Lake Norman Chevys have rocketed up on the race leaders. Neither Stanley nor Gable started up near the front here, but both of them have been making their way forward early. And here comes Ryan Gable to the outside of Ethan Burrell. He's got the outside lane momentum. He will clear for second, and he'll go after Garrison Hogan, who's trying to win his way into the second round of this playoff after a pretty, pedestrian race for Garrison Hogan by his standards last week at Road America.
Yeah, these drivers are trying to look to see if they can be able to gain some points here, because after this race is Talladega, where nobody is certain as to where they will finish, no matter how many laps of practice you do. That's always, the situation is Ryan Gable got the wall a little bit. He is trying desperately to see if he can be able to lead a lap here. He's going to try to go after Garrison Hogan, which I'm surprised with how hard Garrison Hogan is going. He's a driver very well known for having super long run pace, and he's going just as hard as Ryan Gable right now at the front of the field.
You know what that tells me, Gerald, is that this is not a tire wear type of race, right? This is an abrasive surface. Chicagoland is, but these guys are not driving a car that's going to be conducive to gaining a lot of extra tire wear. So my idea is that Garrison Hogan is completely aware of this, and this is a guy who typically saves his tires, is fast on those long runs. Like you mentioned, if he's going hard at the beginning of the run, the tire wear should not be minimal, and these guys should be, racing really hard and capitalizing on as many of these opportunities to pass as they can, because as we can see, once you get in behind somebody, it kind of singles out and starts to look more like the real life racing where you just can't pass because of that dirty air.
Let's go back there to where Chad Frankfield is, because they've been 3 wide for the last few laps here. Oh, as I say that, we do have a battle for the lead. I apologize. It looks like
every time.
Sorry, Ryan Gable. Oh, Garrison Hogan got loose. Ryan Gable threw it into turn 3, forced Garrison Hogan up the racetrack just a little bit. That's going to allow the 01 to now be able to lead that lap. So 3 different leaders in the first 10 laps. Always a great sign here. As you said, it's going to be determining how these tires hold up. I think we will really know by
Stanley got the wall.
by lap 25 or 30 if that's going to be the true case of tire wear or no tire wear here. But already these guys are starting to use the draft here to be able to make these moves and slingshot themselves around. Going back there to where the Chad Frankenfield battles have been, it's still Chad Frankenfield going almost 3 wide back there. That's where the real heavy battling has been placed, right there around the 15th position.
Gavin Hibbs in that battle, as well as Jesse Racimus, who, you missed it, but he is in a different car this week. That 70 car's gotten a paint scheme update for the playoffs, and it's not the monster car anymore, so good on Jesse Racimus. Red and white colors there. It's Tyler Fode, who qualified way in the back. He's also in this race with the Frankenfield Hibbs group, and Fode, he was one of the guys complaining about the car. Not a big fan of how this car drives here. And remember, this is a guy who won our last mile-and-a-half race at Charlotte going away with a very dominant performance. So to see Tyler Fode struggling like this, pretty surprising.
Especially since his 2 teammates are now at the front of the field. Yep. Both of those Lake Norman guys are now 1-2. Ryan Gable out front. Here comes Ethan Stanley. Both of those drivers, as of late, have been known to burn their stuffs up early, have incredible short run pace, and we're seeing it right now as both of them are able to get in front of the field on lap 13. Again, we'll find out here very early on. I guarantee you the rest of the field is very much aware of the situation up front to see how hard you can push it and how long the tires stay. I think our leaders are going to be a good case of how well that will turn out.
Right. This is, experiment number 1, run number 1. We got a hotter track, I think, than we had in practice by just a little bit. I want to point out as Garrison Hogan takes second back from Ethan Stanley that some of these guys have settled out, right? I think everybody from about 4th or 5th on back is singled out, running, competitive lap times, saving the tires all on the bottom of the racetrack. If they are able to save more tire than this front group of 3, we will be able to see it by Ethan Burrell, David Tooker, R.C. Anderson, Trey Holmes. If they run up to the front and take these guys and just blow past them, then we'll know that I think the tire wear is significantly more impactful than we were thinking originally. But for an example, Leighton Norgard jumped up 4 spots. He went from 11th to 7th on this restart, and now he's back to 8th. Just got passed by R.C. Anderson, but that 33 car's been pretty quick right off the rip. A couple of them, and Gable just hit the wall.
These cars are tanks, folks. They can hit the wall and keep going, it looks like, as no one seems to really be too concerned about hitting the wall here. It's just make sure you keep the throttle down, as here comes another run by Garrison Hogan. He's going to try to look to the outside. Oh, boy, he almost got cut off by the 01, and now he's going to have a push by his teammate on that bottom lane. Garrison Hogan's going to try to wrap around that high side. We may have our 4th lead change here before too long.
Here comes Ethan Burrell and David Tooker. A little bit of draft work down the back straightaway. And with the battling for the lead, Gable hitting the wall and Hogan taking that lead back at 3 and 4, it has opened the door for that group that I just said was saving their stuff a little bit. And Burrell, Tooker, Holmes all have rocketed to the front and are now battling for the lead. It's a 6-car battle for that lead at this point. Ryan Gable's car seems to be not working quite as well up on that top side, especially since he hit the wall.
Ryan Gable is trying every spot on the track. If they end up moving that wall a little bit more, he'll try to take that spot too. He is trying all asphalts right now, all the way up at that high side, trying to get the momentum. He's going to have the pole sitter onto the bottom, trying to make that room, trying to make that pass underneath him. He's going to have David Tooker right behind, helping Ethan Burrell, try to push him by Ryan Gable here as we reach lap 18. And we have some incredible racing early on here.
Burrell will clear Gable, Tooker will not, but Gable back to the outside on Ethan Burrell. Right behind them, Stanley and Holmes are side by side. That's drawn R.C. Anderson, Leighton Norgard, and Corey Abbott to this front group. So now it's a top 9 battle in that first second and a half after the race leader Garrison Hogan. And Holmes clears Ethan Stanley with R.C. Anderson right in tow. A bunch of battles, and I think the prophecy is coming true. Very entertaining to watch. Don't know that it would be my favorite type of racing to drive. Seems like the car very tight and very draft and aero dependent, where if you get help like we saw with Burrell and David Tooker, you fly right on by somebody. But if you're by yourself, very difficult to make a pass all on your own.
I can tell you one thing, though, that these cars can take a push, because there is a lot of drivers, they would much rather just bang the back bumper off of the guy in front of them than they would try to go around them and lose their momentum. As we're seeing right there, Ethan Stanley had just gotten into the back of, I believe that was Trey Holmes, shot him up the racetrack now. R.C. Anderson trying to make a move up through the field. Leighton Norgard now getting around Ethan Stanley. Ethan Stanley very quickly losing time on the racetrack. So I do think there is a little bit of tire wear here, just by the case of how Ethan Stanley is falling through the field.
Oh, Gable hit the wall again. The problem is those two have both smacked it off the wall, too. That's not helping them any. If they have any little crinkles in the right front fender of those race cars, it's certainly going to tighten the car up already, and then to factor in that they've definitely been burning that right front tire a good bit more than anybody else in the field by pumping that outside line early in the run. I can definitely understand those cars falling away. I'm not entirely sure that it's strictly overdriving the right front tire, but given that they've hit the wall each a bunch of times, but like it certainly could just be that they've burned the tires off of those cars.
And they're driving it like a shopping cart with a wobbly wheel. They're all over the place, it seems like. As right now, Ethan Burrell trying to keep that second position, but here comes David Tooker trying to make his redemption arc after last week getting taken out of essentially a top 5 position late in the run at the road course. Going to try to see if he can be able to make it back here now. A win would definitely be in the looks for David Tooker if he can be able to get it done, because right now he is on the outside looking in with a super speedway looming in the future. Wants to try to lock it up here today, as well as any of these other drivers trying to be able to do that as well. But right now, side-by-side battle. Here comes Trey Holmes to try to see if he can be able to put his nose into that picture of the battle for second place.
Yeah.
Oh, 3 wide back there. Oh, I'm sorry.
Nope,
Back there
good.
with Chad Frankenfield, Ethan Stanley, and Leighton Norgard. Oh boy, that got tightened up very quickly there. Chad Frankenfield and the pin there, I think that's Nick Indelicato, almost made contact coming out of the turn.
Yeah, how about that? Tyler Fode just blew past Ethan Stanley. We just talked earlier about how Fode wasn't up there with his teammates, but 40 cars got side by side with that 92 car right now, and Fode just got the wall. So I think every single Lake Norman car that we've put a camera on today has bounced off the fence. So that's not really the best way for a team to start the event.
You do have to believe if we're going to have any kind of pit strategy, if someone coming in early, it's going to probably be coming from that 92 camp there of Ethan Stanley. Not really anything to lose. He's already locked himself into the next round after winning at Coda. He's just coming in here trying to see if he can gain some more points for the next round of the playoffs. So do look to see if that 92 is going to play some kind of strategy later in the run. But right now, these drivers all trying to very quickly make the positions. It doesn't look like anybody wants to try to hold up on that outside lane for too long. The pass does look like it's much easier on the bottom lane.
It does, and you kind of can put a slide job together, get in front of the guy, and block his air off down the straightaways. I want to go back to a battle, and here's a battle for 10th. Well, while Corey Abbott's in the top 10, I do want to throw out that Kachow's having a really strong run. Good start to this race for the 73 car. I want to throw back to Jeff Green, sitting here in 23rd, but he's battling his way forward. He started 38th on the night, already up to 23rd. He's working against Scott Crump, Jesse Racimus, a couple of playoff drivers. We haven't seen Jeff Green in a couple of weeks, but this is definitely an impressive start to the race for this 2 car. That's 2000 Busch Series champ Jeff Green, and you can see some of those guys following him up through here. Jesse Racimus, Johnny Thomas, playoff drivers that have won races this season working alongside Jeff Green.
How many mile-and-a-half racetracks would we be able to have in the first 30 laps, all the drivers within 10 seconds? Not very many of them, I will tell you that. That's just how much the draft and how much this car is keeping everyone bunched up together. First through 43 is still within 10 seconds of the lead here, and that's producing some really great racing for us at home to watch. I'm sure it's very frustrating for some of those drivers to try to make the move, but right now at the front we're seeing something a little different here. We're starting to see a little bit of a gap starting to be formed between the first 5 drivers and the rest of the field. It's probably the biggest gap that we've seen on the racetrack so far.
Yeah, this is big. I think the front 5 kind of singled out, and they're trying to put pacing themselves, running some really clean laps on the bottom. Ryan Gable's trying to hold back Tate Lytle right now, and that is creating a bottleneck at the 6th position here, where Tate's finally to the outside of Ryan Gable, going to try to get around him that way, and he's towing Matthew Weeks, his teammate, forward there for the Pro Edge group. So Pro Edge about to have 4 Toyotas in the top 7. Definitely a strong start to the evening for the Toyota camp here, because they've also got Garrison Hogan running first.
Almost makes you think that Lake Norman's saving their race cars for Talladega, where they're known to be very strong. They're letting Pro Edge have it tonight, as here comes another driver trying to get around Ryan Gable. That's going to be Cutlip trying to see if he can get up there, but strong run, as it looks like 8 of our top 10 are playoff drivers.
Yeah, the playoff guys have come forward. Remember, Trey Holmes also losing Daytona right in the last second. Otherwise, he would be involved in this. And R.C. Anderson missed enough races that he was no longer qualified for the chase, despite winning at Phoenix earlier in the season. So everybody in the top 10 really kind of, those guys that have flowed to the front over the course of the season, with just about everybody involved here, and even some of these guys just outside. Nick Massey didn't make the playoffs, but that's a guy that you would anticipate in a race like this to move to the front over the course of a long green flag run.
Absolutely great racing up here. I do think our top 5 guys have all just agreed to try to get themselves distance out here. Tate Lytle is starting to make a little bit of a run, but not really. Not really. Looks like the times are starting to slow down. They have lost the draft from the top 5, and those top 5 are starting to get away. I was worried about Garrison Hogan out front, not really racing to his strong suits, but it has not been the case for Garrison Hogan. Got the lead here with being aggressive, just like Jesse Racimus. Oh no, one of our playoff drivers around on the front stretch. No caution as they still go. That is not what Jesse Racimus needed tonight.
No, it is not. He's back at pace, and he's working his way back through, but I think he just made a little bit of contact with Hosack right here. Yeah, and almost caught Johnny Thomas in it. Did a little landscaping, did that 70 car, but he's back at it. He's already made up a couple of spots on McIntosh, Brent Jones, Josh Clark back there, so Racimus, the playoff driver, moving back forward.
I don't think we can blame the monster scheme on that one.
No, it's no longer the monster scheme.
No, it's not the problem with the monster scheme at all. As we do have a battle for 4th place starting to shape up here, as it looks like R.C. Anderson starting to make his move, starting to try to showcase his strong ability of saving tires here. Now gets up into the 4th position, past David Tooker, now sets his sights on Trey Holmes. All these guys in front of him all started ahead of him. He's now working his way up there.
And started 10th at R.C. Anderson. David Tooker was running 3rd there for a little bit. I think he had a little bit of a bobble. Dropped back behind Holmes and Anderson here. He's just going to have to regroup. Got a couple of teammates catching up, right, does David Tooker. And so now he's got to kind of focus in, make sure that even if you've burned the right front tire a little bit here, that you don't make that worse and compound that problem. Seems like Ethan Stanley has kind of done just that, right? Ethan Stanley's all the way back in 28th place right now, battling with Dustin Dewar. So, burn the right front off, bounce it off the wall, and your day might be over pretty quickly if you make the wrong moves. And those Lake Norman guys have definitely run into the tight race car plus overburning the right front tire early in the race, and it is harming them drastically tonight.
Let's go back there to the Chad Frankenfield Ryan Gable battle, because they have really stacked up the field behind him. Oh boy, a couple of them almost making contact with the wall there. They are racing very hard. That's right there for the 8th position. Ryan Gable is becoming a wall to try to pass, and oh, Chad throws it in there, slides up in front of Ryan Gable. Ryan Gable now back to the bottom. Here comes Tyler Furby. Oh, they're going to side a side draft. Oh no, this doesn't end very well sometimes. Oh boy, they are getting a little feisty out there.
They are. Frankenfield cleared back by Gable. Now Gable to the right rear of Tyler Fody. That's going to slow down his teammate, and they're going to line up and draft by this 40 car in the front straightaway. Nick and Delicato coming to Tyler Fody's rescue, and all of this has happened with Jonathan Cutlip falling back behind it. Missed that action because I think Cutlip was in front of Gable at one point earlier, so he must have either bounced it off the fence or had a moment, but Fody passed his teammate right there in front of Hibbs, Cutlip, Indelicato, Abbott. Just a big gaggle of cars, 3 wide, lots of different lanes. Fody's not going to be able to clear Frankenfield.
No, they're going to be battling it out as it's 3 wide behind them. There is almost 4 wide behind them. Jonathan Cutlip trying to look to the very outside. They are hard at racing here as Chad Frankenfield Fody almost made contact. There's almost contact everywhere in this group, and that would be the worst thing because no one would be able to survive that. They are all right on top of each other.
Yeah, they are. And you know, this is a moment where this whole group has slowed them up so drastically. They've lost a second to Tate Lytle and Matthew Weeks. They're almost 4 seconds behind the race leader at this point. And this side-by-side battling with the side drafting and all that, it is really hindering the lap times of this entire group. It's allowed everybody to catch up to this group, and it's put a lot of these guys in precarious situations where one bobble, one check up, and you suddenly lose 5 to 10 spots.
There is not a spot on the track that these drivers haven't raced on so far. It has been fantastic. They are looking at any way they can be able to get around. At this point, if you're back in that pack, there is not a spot on the track you can go because it has all been taken up. Fody jumps right in front of Hibbs, and now it's going to get pushed. Going to try to see if he can gain back on Chad Frankenfield. Oh boy, that made a couple of them check up. They thought that was going to be a wreck right there.
A bold move by Tyler Fody, but you know, that's expected, right? I'm just surprised Kevin Hibbs hasn't, you know, grazed the wall. That seems to be where he's most comfortable this season. But he, you know, he's running pretty strong race in that 95 car right now. He's got a teammate there to help him, but he and Indelicato have been side by side more often than they've actually been out. Hibbs got the wall, as I said it. But he and Indelicato have been side by side more than they've been pushing each other, and that's not helping anything given that this
caution is out.
There we go. Caution's out.
Not sure where it came
14
from,
car Casey Hatch is driving through the grass.
He's got a new paint scheme for tonight as well. We'll see what happened to Casey Hatch. I'm not sure what position he was in.
He was 40th or so.
40th, yes.
Yeah. He goes up the track, catches Carlos Acosta. Oh, Carlos is going to loop
Carlos, no.
Oh, no, Carlos. Not a whole lot of damage registered on that 0-2 for Carlos Acosta. Looks like
if Carlos makes the race, he's somehow always involved in the first round.
I know, it seems that way. He hit the wall pretty hard with the nose of that car, but I'm not seeing any visual damage.
Well, these cars are tanks, so I mean, as long as the engine didn't blow, it will probably be fine. That is not what the first 5 guys wanted up at the front of the field because they had them out to a decent lead, but for everybody else around where Chad and Tyler Fody and Hibbs were, they needed that caution just so they could bunch back up because they were losing half a second a lap almost with how intense their battling was. As here comes our drivers down pit road to get their first set of tires. They have 4 in the pits. This is going to be the first one that they're going to put on. So let's see if everyone is able to get a clean pit stop here and not slide through their pit stops and see where they all round out.
Yeah, we'll take a look at that. We can also pay some bills here as we get into Weeks actually made contact with Chad, and both of them overshot their pit box.
Oh, no.
Ethan Burrell overshot his pit
Burrell
box.
Lost, yeah.
You can see just the easy, light mistakes. Those are going to cost guys positions. R.C. Anderson might be first one off pit road here. Yeah, easily.
Yeah, look how many spots Ethan Burrell lost by sliding through his pits. He was running in third.
Trey Holmes fell
second.
way back. No, Burrell was third. Holmes was second. Holmes had passed Burrell while we were watching the big battle. Looks like no damage for Carlos Acosta. He's not one of the last ones off pit road. Ethan Stanley falling all the way back. And Jesse Racine stayed out to lead a lap.
I think he's back in 35th. But let's go ahead and take a look at some sponsors shout outs here, as we'll be back when we go green flag.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
And we're back as these drivers are about to go back to green here for the MPEC Napa Auto Parts 200 here at Chicagoland. We got a first little look at how the racetrack, how the characteristics of the race is going to look like, as these drivers are now going to reset. Now they'll have less than 90 laps to finish things off, as RC Anderson is going to lead us back to green here over Tate Lytle at the front of the field. Now the question is, are we going to have as much tense racing as we've had? I do believe so, as the green flag is back out. RC Anderson gets out to a good start. Not a fantastic start, as Tate Lytle is now going to be right onto the back bumper. It's going to be a battle for second place between Tate Lytle and David Took.
Pro Edge now 1, 2, 3 for those Toyotas up at the front. We saw Matthew Weeks slide through his pit box. He's back there in the field, outside the top 10 at this point.
We got hit by
Jonathan
Chad.
Cutlip is going. He did get hit by Chad. And it's as per usual. They're also side by side right now as Cutlip goes around Burrell for fourth. Really strong drive by Cutlip up from 17th starting spot. So that 5 car looking really, really strong here in the early going of this race. Tyler Fody to the top of the racetrack. Blake Norman cars going to the top. Tell me a better combo, right? But 3 wide there. Chad almost cuts off Leighton Norgard.
Leighton Norgard, I don't think he was clear. He just decided to come back up, as now it looks like Matthew Weeks going to try to see if he can get some clean air. That seems to be the hard issue here, trying to find the clean air, as these drivers are racing very difficultly, very hard here at the front. They are all over the place, trying to run that high side, the low side. There's 3 wide all throughout the field here, as they're coming. Matthew Weeks pushed into the wall by Nick. I think that was the 48th there. Yeah, Nick Massey.
It worked out. Weeks didn't hit the wall or anything. They just made a little bit of contact, and I think Massey bailed out of the gas and let Weeks have the position. Weeks again running for the championship. Massey not. One of those spots where Matthew Weeks putting that car in a spot where Massey is going to yield, I think. Massey's a pretty clean driver, well known for respect on the racetrack, and Weeks kind of take advantage of that a little bit in this big pack, because you have to be aggressive with this car, with this package.
Hibbs hits the wall once again.
Another story.
Yeah,
those guys are always together.
Yeah, that's something that always seems to end up happening at the race here. But it was interesting. We had thought maybe these drivers are going to be more conscious of their tires, maybe focus on saving their tires. And for the most part, for the front of the field, that the saving tires worked out for them. They are back to running on the single file line, not really worrying about passing each other. And the drivers that fell back through the field, well, you can see them right now. They're all over the place. Really didn't learn anything. And then they're all on top of each other. So yeah, it's interesting. Again, I think the guys that have gotten it down pat on the long run know exactly what to do, and that's what's happening at the front of the field, as they've all kind of just are playing nice and fair and just worrying about staying single file and getting some distance on the big pad.
Yeah, and for now, Big Pac's not super slow, right? Those guys are, not racing as closely as we saw some of the guys racing hard there at the end of the run. But, they're still running hard. Trey Holmes still side drafting with Ryan Gable back there at 9th place. 3 wide right behind. Matthew Weeks is in the middle back there, so it's getting really crazy. Still, Scott Crump's trying to get through this pack as well. There's a car that we haven't mentioned at all today.
Some of these guys really, really are familiar with their car. You would hope so, because they are making moves where there's only inches between them, just like Chad Frankenfield. And they are making moves that if they are inches off, it's going to lead to a wreck. And that's exactly what we're seeing here, as these drivers are starting to put the needle to the thread, as you would say, and trying to get their way through that chaos right outside the top.
I don't know what. No, Stouffer just door slammed Chad. Chad's 3 wide. Chad's Chad wide, really. Oh, Norgard gets in behind the 15 car. All that, and Trey Holmes and Tyler Cody both got around Nick and Delicato for 7th and 8th. Now Gable's to the outside of Indelicato for 9th, and Holmes is going after Tyler Fody. So even still swapping among the guys who are single filed out. Trey Holmes ran the bottom for the first 10 laps of this run, and Chad's 3 wide all by himself there. Oh, he's on the apron.
Oh boy. A guy that's really kicking himself is Matthew Weeks. He was up there where he didn't have to worry about this, and now he put himself right in the middle of all this.
I disagree. I disagree that Matthew Weeks put himself in. I think the 15 car put him there.
I didn't. Well, maybe you're right. I didn't see the contact, but you might be right.
Weeks was braking for his pit box, and Chad Frankenfield gave him a little bump on pit entry. They pit right next to each other, qualified 13th and 14th, and the little bump sent both of them over the line, dropped them back 4 or 5 spots, and that's created this side-by-side battle that we're watching right now.
You just know, kind of like going to a beach and knowing that there's some big guy in a micro bikini. It's not what you want to see, but you know it's going to happen. There's going to be someone that cuts their nose off coming out of the turn, and it's going to lead to something nasty. You just know it's going to happen.
I don't know what beaches you're going to.
It's Florida beaches.
Okay.
Yeah. That's where we have those. You haven't been to a Florida beach unless you've seen a big man in a micro bikini.
It's been a while. I'm not far from this here racetrack. So.
If you didn't see it, then you're probably the guy. Are you the guy?
Tyler Fody side by side with Ethan Burrell for 6th. And Fody's going to clear the 37 car, but remember, Burrell was very intent on tire saving early in the event. He was one of those guys that ran back up on the race leaders and had gotten to a point of being, I think, 2nd right before the pit stop. So did Trey Holmes, the car right behind him. And you can see Matthew Weeks has already caught up to Trey Holmes, so that 11 car might have burned the tires a little bit more, but he's worked his way forward to the cusp of this top 10.
Yeah, but as you said, I think he's absolutely killed the tires at this point with how hard the racing is. I feel like Ethan Burrell is the final guy that's actually been saving tires, maybe Trey Holmes, but Trey Holmes is still battling with Brian Gable. I feel like right now, if we go to another long green flag run, you're probably going to see from Ethan Burrell on forward, our top 7 drivers, start to pull away from the field here.
Yeah, and you can tell there's already some slight gaps forming right in front of those guys. Anderson's just had Tate Lytle drafting off of him, David Zucker drafting off of him, right? The Pro Edge trio controlling this race right now. We haven't really mentioned it because they haven't been side by side. It just kind of looks like an old school late track where, the top, the DEI cars all run together and draft away from the field.
Here comes Jeff Green from the 38th position. Made a wonderful move to get around to the outside of Chad Frankenfield. Barely had enough room to get to the outside. Now trying to see if he can have the momentum to get himself further into the top 15. Wonderful, biggest mover of the race right now, Jeff Green.
Yeah, just behind him is Justin Vandermarl, up to 16th or 17th from 30th starting position. So a couple of guys here in the mid-teens have definitely moved forward. And Vandermarl teammates with Trey Holmes, who qualified 2nd, looking pretty competitive compared to I would say maybe his usual spot, but
oh boy, Ryan Gable and Trey Holmes there. Trey Holmes did not have room to clear his nose there. and that almost was big. They made some contact, and they both almost went around. But yeah, here comes Trey Holmes. I think he's done. I think he's wanting to try to get away from everything behind there, and has now gotten a little frustrated and now trying to make his move through the field to get away from Ryan Gable. I don't think there are going to be a lot of people happy with how hard Ryan Gable has been driving.
Yeah, but Gable falling back, that's not working out for him as Holmes jumps in behind fueled up teammate Jonathan Cutlip to try and draft back around Tyler Fode, who's made a move on that 5 car for 5th, but Fode's going to have to, I think, yield it. Maybe not. 40 car fights back on the outside.
Yeah, here comes Tyler Fode, seeing if he can be able to get further into the top 5. Now in the top 5. But you were worried about him with his starting position as far back as he was in 22nd. But Tyler Fode, not to worry. He'll find his way into the top 5 and be a contender at some point.
Not even me. Tyler Fode was worried about Tyler Fode. Yeah, those were words straight from Tyler Fode that he was not worried. He was worried about the starting back in the pack. He wasn't really feeling very fast, and here he is up in 5th place. Potentially in a spot to be able to save some tires and get to a point where he can make that final pit stop and go for the race win.
I was a little worried myself. I had picked Tyler Fode in our podcast on Thursday nights, and I had picked him to win. And it's well known my picks do not work out very well, and he felt very jinxed by my choosing of him, and probably thought about me after qualifying in 22nd. But happy to say he's turned it around, and hopefully my picking prowess has changed around as well. Hopefully.
Maybe. We'll see. And,
it's still
I'm
early.
looking at, yeah, it is still early. I'm looking at a couple of guys here that are either in the top 10 or about to get into the top 10. We talked about Jeff Green and his kind of meteoric rise through the field. He's having a really good run in this 2 car. But how about Chris Stouffer? His first race was back in Charlotte. We covered him a couple of times, but we really haven't talked about him. He hasn't really run
this
the
is the
top
most
10 at
laps
all.
he's done.
Yeah, he's been involved in a lot of wrecks, and not of his own making necessarily, but Stouffer in the top 10 at this point in the race. That's a pretty impressive start to the evening. We're kind of approaching halfway, but Chris Stouffer in the top 10 at this point. That 13 car's been pretty impressive. He's driving right in front of Matthew Weeks right now, and he's trying to pass pole sitter Ethan Burrell, so a good run.
If Ethan Burrell was trying to go about saving tires, he's put himself in a bad spot, I think. He is pretty far back now in the pack. He's going to need to start making the moves back up. We do only have 3 more laps before the stage, and only really the points leader, not points leader, but the race leader gets 1 bonus point, and there is no caution. So these drivers aren't expecting any kind of caution to come out for that stage. And so this is, and in their mind, if it goes green, this is still, this is a race to the end.
Yeah, it is. Potentially, and depends on whether or not these guys make any contact. It feels like that's a distinct possibility with how closely they've been racing. But the one thing I would look for here is we get to 2 to go in the stage is David Tooker and Tate Lytle to kind of back up RC Anderson and try to draft forward and get to the back bumper of that 50 car, see if they can't go get that stage point away from their teammate. Potentially, because that might be a pretty important little stage point for a couple of guys near the back end of the chase field at this point, playoff field.
And it's starting to calm down a little bit. I do think the packs are starting to thin out as the tires are starting to wear. You're seeing a lot more single file line. We're gonna give some shout outs to some drivers that are having a fairly good run up into the front there. Justin Vandermeerl started back in 30th up to 18th, so that's a good run for Justin Vandermeerl back there. Dustin Dewar up into the top on 21 from starting 2nd to last. So some drivers do having some good pace back there as the racing is all through the pack.
Well, we just hit the stage. RC Anderson takes it home. No playoff point awarded for anybody in the playoffs at this point. So Tate Lytle made a bit of a run. He's gotten close, but playoff, the points already been awarded. Don't think the 56 car is going to be able to get back there just yet. He's got a draft from David Tooker, and they are making some ground up. Tyler Fode's up to 4th. That 40 car really starting to surge here in the middle part of the run.
Well, do you want to go through the playoff drivers and see where they're all running right now?
I think that's probably a good idea.
All right, as we reach a little past the halfway point right now, leading the playoff drivers is Tate Lytle right in front of his teammate that is trying to get some more points his way. David Tooker right behind him, making a strong run and tapping the wall. There was Tyler Fody right now side by side with Garrison Hogan there, as Garrison Hogan trying to make a run up through to third place. Right behind then Jonathan Cutlip side by side with Ethan Burrell. I wasn't worried about him falling through the field, already trying to get back into the top 5. Back a little bit farther, Matthew Weeks really suffering from having to be back further, not in the position he wants to be in, back in 11th. Chad Frankenfield running in the 13th position, a very average spot that he's in. Back in 14th, Ryan Gable still trying to figure out the tire situation, diving it in. I'm not sure what happened there. Scott Crump
Jeff
in
Green
16th.
might have had an issue, but I think he just backed it off in the corner.
Yeah, Scott Crump still trying to find a way up to the front, running in 16th position. Nick Indelicato there running in the 18th position, also is trying to figure out something going on there. Ethan Stanley is just trying to come back from how bad his tires were from the last green flag run, running back in the 22nd position. Really nothing to worry about that. Johnny Thomas back in 26th, not having the day he wants. And the person that's having a really bad day so far has been Jesse Racimas back there in the 35th position, our Daytona winner from a few weeks ago.
I'll tell you, Johnny Thomas, this isn't the type of racing he likes, right? The very close quarters, not very spread out type of racing. Where did Johnny Thomas take a race win at? Rockingham, right? Like that's Johnny Thomas type of racetrack. This isn't the kind that I would have expected Johnny to be up there at the front at. So Johnny's got to hope for a little bit of chaos to move forward, I think, in the heading.
Chaos can absolutely happen, as we got a battle there. Tyler Fody's been battling with Garrison Hogan for the last few laps. They've been going back and forth for that 5th place position there, or 4th place position. Tyler Fody.
They're wrecking. No, they're not. Oh my goodness. Jeff Green and Scott Crump are the ones who have just about wrecked.
I think Scott Crump tried clearing himself on Jeff Green back.
He did.
Jeff almost ended badly.
It did. I can't believe Scott saved that race car. But I think the car is so tight in the center of the corner that Scott's car turning, it almost shot him forward with some actual grip and turn on the race car.
Back up front here now, David Tooker's trying to take a look at his teammate there of Tate Lytle. Now to the inside, that is a battle for the 2nd position, as R.C. Anderson starting to leave these guys 3 wide for 2nd place. Here comes Garrison Hogan, as they're all trying to be the lead playoff driver. Going into turn number 3, Garrison Hogan's going to be able to wrap around the bottom and make a wonderful move for that position. 2 for 1 going into turn 3.
That's all it takes sometimes, is those guys start to battle even a little bit. Garrison Hogan's been really opportunistic with his moves today. He took the lead early in the race with an opportunistic move around Ethan Burrell, and at this point has risen back to 2nd after kind of riding in that 4th position.
In the wall hard. Oh, Chad got shoved in the wall. He's retaliating, getting back into Ryan Gable. Gable's the one that pushed him up into the wall, going down the back straightaway. Chad came back down and gave him a bump back. That is not good. They were all on top of each other. We might want to go back and see that, because Chad made hard contact with the wall.
Yep, caution's out. Jeff Green. No, it's not Jeff Green. Let's check out.
Okay, let's see this real quickly here, because Chad's going to have some damage.
A bunch of damage. Mark Rabilis is the car that is going to cause the caution. There's the contact back from Chad.
Well, those two are not known to give a lot of room.
No, they are not.
Let's go ahead and see that caution as you were just stating.
I think it was Rabilis.
I think that was for 42nd position.
Got into Rucker.
No, not 42nd. There's a few guys. No, that was for 40th position. That's the 2nd wreck for 40th position in this race.
Yep. Rabilis just chases Rucker up the track, doors him, and then gets spun in front of poor innocent Michael Hosack. It almost looked like Rabilis was trying to hit Rucker there.
Yeah, that looked a little
intentional. That wouldn't shock me, but like,
they're not known to get along.
No.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, if you're going to take a guy out, don't take yourself out.
They were racing pretty hard before that, but
Yeah, but I mean, you don't
I
pick
can't-
yourself out.
yeah, I can't see that being a reason to just fire it in and get into the guy. And Rucker got through it pretty much perfectly and unscathed. So let's bring these guys down pit road. Remember we discussed it last time. It's real easy to throw away some track position on pit road. Make sure
do
nobody
not slide.
overshoots their box.
I was checking to make sure Chad didn't get into Matthew Weeks again.
See
So
anybody-
far, I haven't seen anyone make a
Yep.
mistake so far.
Cullip out quick. I think
Yeah,
the 5
very
might have taken
quick.
2 tires.
You might be right. He did. Yeah, he absolutely
Wow.
did. So Jonathan Cutlip, 2 tires.
And this is the time to make that strategy play, right? There's still almost half this race to go. If Cutlip loses a
Tate
little bit of track
Lytle,
position,
or,
oh yeah,
yeah, Tate Lytle. What in the world happened to him? He lost like 30 positions.
did he hit the wall at some point and try to fix some damage?
No, not he. No, there was no damage on his car.
No visual damage, but the way this next gen car works, there certainly could have been. He
I
just
guess
sat
he
in his pit
was.
stall.
Yeah, he was fixing damage.
12 seconds
I
of damage.
wouldn't
Wow.
know. That was a
You know
bad
what?
idea. That
You know
was
what?
bad
There's-
idea.
I think there's definitely a scrape on the right side of the 56 car upon
Yeah.
further analysis.
He said let's go ahead and do you want to bring up Tate Lytle and ask him?
Yeah, let's do that. I think that's a great idea.
If he's in there. Yes, he is. I'm going to move him up real quickly and we'll ask Tate Lytle himself. Tate Lytle, we got you in the booth. You got us?
Yeah, I got you.
What? So we saw that you had a little longer pit stop there. Was that to fix damage?
Yep.
Do you
Yep.
do you think that's a good idea?
No.
No. You do find yourself now back all the way in 29th position after being in the top 5. Do you think you have enough time to be able to make it back up to the front?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other
Short-
questions, Dave?
Nope, send him back. We're about to restart.
Alrighty. Well, good luck out there, Tate. We hope to see you back up at the front and everything.
We'll see. I doubt it.
Alright. Okay, well, he doesn't. Yeah. I mean, some people's kids only talk in short answers, but yeah, no, that Tate Lytle did what he did, but he doesn't really think that his idea was the best idea, but he does think that he'll be back up to the front. So we'll see how that works out. As the pace car lights are off, he's going to be coming down pit road. We're going to go back to green now with Jonathan Cutlip on 2 tires. Going to see how he does. This may set up a whole, if it works out, a whole strategy plan for the rest of the field. The bottom lane gets a wonderful restart. Here comes Garrison Hogan on to the back bumper, trying to see if he can be able to clear himself, and will do so for the 2nd position. So a little bit of a switch up here up at the front.
Yep. Trey Holmes and Garrison are both in the chat with Jonathan Cutlip, so that start definitely one of the teammate starts we've talked about all season. Hogan to second,
Johnny
Holmes
Thomas.
looking for third.
I think Johnny Thomas took 2, and they're in 3 wide. Oh, they're tapping off of each other there. Garrison Hogan and a Leighton Norgard. Oh, man, that was really close. 3 wide for 10th place, as all these drivers are pushing really hard right now.
Yeah, there's starting to get low on the rest of the laps left, and they know how hard it is to pass. They've been dealing with it all race, so we're seeing it. Guys taking 2 tires. Norgard sideways on the back straightaway.
Got into it with, I think the 92. Oh, 4 wide going into turn 3. Oh, boy.
Worked out. Norgard only lost a couple of spots. Thomas still side by side with Gable. Up front, it is still Jonathan Cutlip holding serve over Garrison Hogan. Then it's Anderson, then Fody.
Oh, or I think the 13 and the 10 got into each other.
Yep, they bottled it up. Here comes Gable into the back of the 10 car.
Oh boy, this is a wreck looking to happen here, as these drivers are pushing each other and they're getting sideways from the shoves.
Yeah,
Johnny
Johnny's kinda
Thomas.
stuck on the bottom here. 3 wide with the late Norman cars.
I believe he has 2 tires, so he does not have the grip like the rest of them.
Oh, Gable into Crump
Yeah.
teammates.
Gable has been a pinball right now, hitting off of people. Here comes Gavin Hibbs trying to see if he can get a run.
83 car, 14 car, Casey Hatch sideways on the front straightaway. He gets it fired up.
No caution.
Not yet. Hogan
gonna
is
have to get
battling
going now.
Anderson for second, but they're behind Cutlet. Man, that clean air up at the front of this field, that is a godsend. That thing changes the way your car drives so much in this next gen car. And Hafodi around Holmes looking to get to the outside of RC Anderson.
Yeah, the only thing Cutlip does not need to happen is for someone to get in front of him and he loses that clean air, because I do think he will fall through the field if that happens. So he's got to try to stay out in front as much as possible. But do know that all these drivers just put a new playbook into their game plan. If it comes down to the end, they just saw 2 tires can work, at least for the short run so far.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate Dave jumping to Johnny Thomas as well, the other car that we think took 2. Johnny absolutely is holding station there in 10th place, right? It is working. It just is not changing the way this car is driving. 2 right side tires, the only 2 tires you need. If you take 4 on this last pit stop, I think you're making a mistake. The way Cutlip is driven away, the way Johnny's held serve, I think it loosens the car up. It probably makes the car a little bit better handled.
So rights are right, lefts you get left is what you're saying.
Okay. So Brent, Goody, and Hunter Smith all crashed with Casey Hatch.
Oh boy. Yeah, they are all multiple laps down.
Yeah, that's a pretty sizable wreck there. Hunter Smith's the one who galvanized this, but he got in. Man, I can't believe that wasn't a caution. Jordan Owens spun out. Goody hard in the wall. Brent Jones hard in the wall. This was a bigger wreck than we thought.
Let's see what happened with Goody.
It was all the same wreck.
Yeah, they're all stuck on the wall. Look at Goody's tires.
They got clobbered, and this is all for 30th place.
This is worse than the 2 cautions we did have.
Yeah, there's the slide, and Smith goes up the track, and Goody nowhere to go. Piles Brent in, piles Hunter Smith in.
How was that not a caution?
Yeah, it should have been a caution. Jordan Owens got kind of the short end of this stick. He had been in the top 20 for a good part of this day. Up front, it is still Jonathan Cutlip over Hogan, Enerson, Fody, and Trey Holmes, the top 5. So we continue to take a look at this fairly sizable wreck that did not bring out a yellow.
Yeah, that was more of a wreck than the wrecks we did have.
Right. 3 cars out of the event. Smith, Goodman, Jones, Hatch, and Owens way at the back of the field now.
Let's take a look at that battle for 4th place as they are starting to get a little bit physical there. Our 3rd place, actually. That's RC Anderson trying to get a little bit of space to freaking field. And Tyler, David Tooker, oh boy.
Big net code. Big net code from the 15 into the 19.
Yeah, they're starting to shove here. It's getting closer to the end of this thing. And RC Anderson is desperately trying to get himself clear of Fody there. Tyler Fody. Now Chad Frankenfield giving a shove to Tyler Fody. Starting to go side by side. Now it's side by side for 4th place as Tyler Fody is able to clear himself.
Do have Michael Goodman, who just got murdered. We'll take a look at Goody here in a second if this racing calms down a little bit, since this is kind of about to be the battle for the lead.
Oh boy. Here comes Chad. Oh, he got right on the back bumper of Tyler Fody. Oh boy, that was very close there. Inches from almost getting the 40 turned around there in front of the field, as these drivers are trying to get any kind of advantage they can. Here comes the 13. He's starting to make a run up to the front.
Christopher, yep, in that 13 car. It is settling out a little bit, so I do want to get one question in for broadcast. There it is. Michael Goodman, David in the booth. What happened out there, buddy?
All I saw was them wrecking in front of me, and I saw Hunter Smith stopped on the tri-oval there. I tried to brake, but I had a lot of rear brake and just lost control. And unfortunate for Brent there, he got collected, and kind of surprised there's no yellow out there. But yeah, I guess it is what it is.
Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, as far as the racing, is it as difficult as it looks to try to work your way up to the front, because you try to make a move and someone makes a move onto you, and it just is an endless cycle of making moves that end up getting you nowhere? Is that kind of how it looks like out of?
Yeah, it really is, and also you have to factor in the tire saving aspect of it too. The first run, I was digging hard. I seen Jeff go out there and just light the wick, and I'm like, I'm gonna go try to follow him at least, and burnt my tires up, fell all the way to the back, and I feel like I really figured out how to save the tires, kind of hold my track position, and work my way up. Right before the previous caution came out, it felt like it was just starting to work, so I was hoping for a long green flag run, which these guys might get it, but obviously I won't.
Well, we do appreciate you joining us here, Goody. We hope for better luck, but you will be in the podcast for the Simply Racing podcast for tomorrow night. So you will be able to go back and relive this all over again and give us your side of how everything went, and we'll be able to get to talk to you more there.
Heck yeah, and yeah, be sure to tune in. Should be a fun one. And Jeff wanted me to relay a message for you, Gerald. He said if he would have qualified better, he would have won this race.
Yeah. Well, maybe.
We've been talking about him, so enjoy,
yeah,
Goody.
He has been an interesting part of the race. Well, thank you, and good luck for the next one here, Goody. As we're back up here, Jeff Green fell back a little bit to 22nd place, and has a slew of cars right in front of him he has to try to work around. But back up at the front here, Chad Frankenfield and R.C. Anderson have been side by side for a while. This is a race battle that's not gone away, and this is not what RCR wanted after leading for so long and being up front. Not able to really save as much as he would probably hope with being stuck onto the bottom lane with a guy to his outside the entire time.
I think it's okay. Run at the bottom is okay, even if you do have somebody on your outside, but you can tell just how important it is to not give up the right rear corner of that race car. We've seen guys kind of risk it all to avoid being taken to the top of the racetrack, and right now RC's battling because he's got the right rear of that car, caught down by Tyler Fody and then Chad Frankenfield. I do want to point out Ethan Stanley's comeback drive, right? Dave pulled up the graphic. Oh, Chad just hit the wall a ton, right as we talked about Stanley. See if the 15 car's damaged, but
the 28 stacked up, and that almost got Tate Lytle involved. That was a big almost incident there, as those drivers almost got into it. So there's
here comes RC.
Couple bad incidents going on. RC Anderson trying to make the run on the bottom. He's putting the throttle down right now.
Yep. Fody drifting up a little bit more about right front tire. He's been running the top a lot. Right front tire might be a little more worn on that 40 car than some of these counterparts, but hey, how about Ethan Stanley, right? Went all the way back to 28th after that first run. I'm willing to bet there was a little bit of right side damage that he has since gotten fixed. We've seen that car stay on the bottom of the racetrack since, as we're getting a battle for the lead here. Hogan is going after Jonathan Cutlip. It took a while, but there was a little net code.
Yeah, the
Finally,
side draft.
two tires give up.
Side draft was a little scary there, as Jonathan Cutlip still trying to hold off, not able to do so. Garrison Hogan was going to take that spot one way or another. I think this is not what Jonathan Cutlip needs. He was kind of hoping for a caution to come out to try to even the playing field, but now I do think that 5 is going to probably start to sink down through the field here. Those two tires are probably not going to hold up, as we saw with the 91 has started to slip through the field as well.
He's 11th. He's been fine.
yeah, I guess you're right. He really hasn't fallen back as we would have thought.
I think that also might be a testament to Johnny Thomas's ability to save tires, and then also that he's gotten into oh man, they're trying to wreck down the back straightaway.
Oh,
right at Johnny Thomas.
Yeah. David Tooker. I mean, that was almost bad.
I wonder if only right side tires loosens this car up a little bit and allows it to drive a little bit better, and then therefore allows it to you to not lean on that right front tire. I'm wondering if it almost improves your tire wear, because Johnny's been able to hold up right at the front. Cutlip led so many laps, even though Kogan is maybe the fastest car here. We saw him lead early. Yeah, it's just very crazy to me that more guys haven't tried the two-tire strategy to loosen that car up.
One thing to note, we talked about how far Tate Lytle was. He was back in 30th position it was, and now he's up into the 18th, starting to work his way up through the field, starting to make a move on a Leighton Norgard to the outside. So Tate Lytle is starting to make a move back up to the front, but it's still going to take a while for him to get into the position he was in. He's still having to, we got touched a little bit by Leighton Norgard. That was, there's, oh my gosh, there's a lot of beating. There's still a lot of beating going on Jeff Green, Nick Massey, all those guys are laying on to each other right now.
Wadsworth and Schultz was that initial contact there. But yeah, we've seen a pretty aggressive Tate Lytle this season as well, and he hasn't really displayed it in this run. I don't think we've seen him make any contact, but he's worked his way about halfway forward. More contact between Schultz and Wadsworth. That is continuing to result in contact. Also up towards the front, best friends Ethan Burrell and Chad Frankenfield are side by side continually. And Burrell's got the better tires right now. Chad's bounced it off the fence. I think Chad is holding Burrell back at this point.
It's unbelievable to me how stable these cars are with getting literally shoved into each other. I mean, a driver will just slide up the racetrack into the door of the other driver, and they'll just keep going. I'm just not used to that. I'm so used to it causing some kind of big wreck, and these drivers are able to just shove into each other and keep going. And not really lose any speed. Oh, Jeff Green back there. Oh, man, Jeff Green got real sideways. He got into the door and then shoved from behind. It was almost...
That's a continual near wreck there.
I don't know how it's not becoming a wreck. I really don't.
Yeah, they're still 2 and 3 wide in that back group. Chad Frankenfield and Tooker are still side by side up here, but Holmes has cleared. You can just see how difficult it is for some of these guys to pass. Like, it took Burrell 3 or 4 laps to get around Chad. Now a Delicato into the side of Chad Frankenfield.
Oh, they're shoving into each other now. He's still shoving into each other.
I don't think Chad's real happy with that. Matthew Weeks is backing up that back pack as well. I mean, we need a dual view here. This battle is crazy. Matthew Weeks has lost a bunch of spots.
Yeah, Matthew Weeks is falling through the field right now. I'm not sure what happened. Oh, but we can't get away from Nick and Delicato and Chad Frankenfield. They are, they are hot-heading it right now. Yeah. They're trying to play chicken on the racetrack as we speak. They're right up against each other. They are losing so much time on the guys in front of them as well, and stacking up the guys behind.
Look at Johnny trying to draft Nick Delicato through. Johnny might even be the faster of the group of 3 here. So let's see if Johnny can get through. He's gotten by Tooker. He's gonna get in behind. Oh, he's gonna get in behind Chad right there down the back straightaway. And now we can maybe go back and see if anything happened to Tate Lytle. Is still in a hornet's nest back there as well. We also have Brent Jones in the infield care center. He was among those wadded up in the wreck that didn't cause a caution. So let's ask Brent one quick question. Brent, it's David in the booth. You got me? Oh, what happened out there, buddy?
Just another week where we just run about 30th and got involved in someone else's mess, and nothing I can do, and I don't qualify well, but it doesn't help that there's some people out here who just don't give a take either, but that's just the general culture of things.
Gotcha, man. Well, any shout outs before we send you off here tonight?
I'm not really upset at this point. Luis Gonzalez Murray, Kevin Grusing, they've been on my rock for the last year. Shout out to Abbott Motorsports, shout out to what else? I don't know anymore. You guys in the booth are doing a great job every week. I know I said some things on social media last week on the T-shirt account, but I'm dead serious. Y'all do a dang good job, and I apologize for my marks last week as well.
Alrighty. We appreciate it, buddy. And hey, you got an interview this week, though not in the best of circumstances.
I'd rather take it than complain on social media again. It's one step forward, I guess.
Yep. Alrighty, well, have a good night, Brent.
Cheers.
You know, one thing I've noted here so far is that Cutlip, he did lose that position. At first, I thought he was going to fall back. He really hasn't. He's still running in that second position, which is incredible.
He's kept it right on the back bumper of Hogan. And Hogan and Anderson, I think, are really, really close. And they're probably just a skosh better than everybody else in the race right now in terms of pace. But Cutlip being able to hold that second spot on the 2 tires as Hogan and Anderson full gap on Bodie, Stanley, and Burrell, that is mighty impressive. And then you look back here, Johnny Thomas is still running 10th despite having 2 tires only and, being a 25th place car for the better part of the race. He jumps up in front of Tooker. He's using that car to his advantage as Johnny Thomas, 24 laps to go. I think 2 tires might have been the call to, get 2 guys who are outside the top the top 9 right now in the playoffs. 2 guys to that can get them back into contention for making this next round of the playoffs.
Well, I will be right back. My battery box has gone out again.
Alrighty. Yep. Gerald's got the old alarm system over there. But Chad Frankenfield's holding this whole group up. Up front, it is Hogan, Cutlip, Anderson, Fody, all under a blanket. Then it's a second back to Ethan Stanley from there. Ethan Burrell and Trey Holmes are kind of drafting in tow behind. And then it's Nick and Delicato running 8th with Frankenfield, Thomas, Tooker, and Crump 9th through 12th. And then it's a big gap back to Chris Stouffer in that 13 car running 13th. Dave, should we go ahead and do some ad reads while we are lacking Gerald?
The NASCAR Cup Series returns to Worldwide Technology Raceway on June 1st and 2nd, 2024. The time to get your tickets is now. For only $10 down, you can lock in your seats for an incredible weekend of family fun, featuring the Enjoy Illinois 300 and the Confluence Music Festival. Racing, music, camping, it all adds up to one amazing party. Go to www.raceway.com for the hottest ticket of the year.
Thanks, Dave. And how about Napa sponsoring this race? That's pretty cool. I know it's a family group, part of Napa, but I'm a NASCAR fan since 2001. That's about the time Napa entered the NASCAR Cup Series on board with Michael Waltrip. They've been there ever since. They've been partners with racing for a long time, and that's really cool to have those on our broadcast. Back here is... Oh, go ahead. Yeah. Yeah. Chase Elliott's car this year looks a little bit like that, but it's not quite the same with the numbers shoved forward and all that. As I wax poetic, the battle is on for 5th. Ethan Burrell has got it. Trey Holmes wants it. They both bypassed Ethan Stanley, and Nick and Delicato is also going to rocket around that 92 car. Up front, Tyler Fody took 3rd from R.C. Anderson, and David Tooker and Scott Crump got around Chad Frankenfield and have entered the top 10. Frankenfield, for what it's worth, has pitted or lost connection. He might even be just completely out of the racetrack. Yep, Chad has lost connection. 38th for Chad Frankenfield, a playoff driver. That is not good news for him. That puts him in a must-win situation heading to Talladega next week. Certainly a possibility, but now Chad Frankenfield's going to have that blue number next to his name next week on the scoring pylon, and a little more additional desperation on top of the typical Chad desperation. So not a good time for the internet to drop out for Chad Frankenfield. Call it an engine failure. Oh, man. We were just sitting there quiet, weren't we? Oh, man. Thanks, Zach. Let's do it before we get into the final stint of this race. still can't hear you, Dave. Not sure what the deal would be. Do you want me to read them? I know we need to get those out.
I can read them. I can read them for you.
Send it, Gerald.
Belly Up Sports, the internet sports bar, sports commentary via podcast, forums, articles, and topics ranging in nearly every sport. Not your usual sports site. Check them out on X or bellyupsports.com. Do love Belly Up Sports, our series sponsor. Black Magic Designs. Black Magic Designs, a small team of custom iRacing car painters and photographers dedicated to quality customer experience. With the paint starting as low as $15 per car, find us on Facebook and Discord. Black Magic Designs, where the paint is worth 2/10. Blue Egg Marketing, rev up your business with Blue Egg, your marketing pit crew. Turbocharge your lead engine. Well, that's a tongue twister. With experienced drivers that can navigate a competitive track to connecting with your customers. With Blue Egg, you're always in the pole position, leading your brand towards victory lane. Don't spin your wheels. Accelerate success with Blue Egg, fueling small businesses to win big. And Worldwide Technology Raceway. A Worldwide Technology Raceway is the motorsports racing facility in Madison, Illinois, just east of St. Louis, Missouri, featuring a 1.25 mile track that hosts NASCAR Cup Series, the Craftsman Truck Series, the NTT Indy Series, and much more racing. We do appreciate Worldwide Technology. Those are our sponsor readouts, and of course our race sponsor, Napa. Thank you for sponsoring today's race for the Napa Auto Parts 200. You have gotten yourselves a really good race to sponsor, as it's starting to come down to Garrison Hogan, Tyler Fode, Scott, and Cutlip right now. Those drivers are all within a second of the lead. It's coming down to a 10-lap run here. Tires have played a little bit of a point. Only our first two drivers are on 4 tires as we're getting closer and closer to the end of this thing. Any one of these 3 drivers can lock themselves into the next round with this win, so they are all racing with a purpose right now.
Let's hit some storylines before we track the finish here. Matthew Weeks, or Chad Frankenfield, dropped out of the race via connection issue. He is 38th. Matthew Weeks is running 32nd in this one. Has had a very difficult time running this final run. Tate Lytle hit the wall a couple of times. There's some right front damage on the 56 car. He is back in 24th. He has not moved forward at all. And then up at the front of the field, Tyler Fode has gotten around Jonathan Cutlip for that second position. So, you know, for points, even if Fode can't catch and bypass Garrison Hogan, 40 car should still be good, if not locked in to the next round. But that question is not going to be true for regular season champion Matthew Weeks with a run like this to close out this race. We might even need to go back and look and see what happened to Matthew Weeks after this race, because I feel like something would have had to be drastically wrong with this 11 car. We might even need to talk to him.
I think that contact with Chad Frankenfield sent him down a spiraling path to disaster here, as he has just continued to fall. Look how slow he's going.
I mean, his car is really messed up. Something's wrong with it. But the problem is I have no visual damage that I'm seeing. I don't know.
Luckily for him, he was a little over 30 points above the cutoff line. Not what he wanted to do, as it will start to put him back closer to that cutoff line. Again, next week will be Talladega. Anybody can win Talladega, and anybody can be eliminated due to Talladega. And that's going to put him in the danger zone for that, as we're going to get to 5 laps to go. Let's concentrate.
Hit it again.
Oh, my gosh, he's hitting it again. Yeah, it's done. Let's go back up to the lead here, as we do have only 5 laps left to go. 4 laps left to go. It's going to come down, I really think, now down to the last 2 drivers here. It's going to be between Garrison Hogan and Tyler Fode. Tyler Fode has started to track down Garrison Hogan, running that little bit higher lane. Garrison Hogan, known for his long run. Tyler Fode, known for his domination. We're about to see if that's going to come true here tonight. See who's going to be able to take it home and lock themselves into the next round of the playoffs.
I think it's Fode's making some gains, but they're not significant gains over the course of the lap. He's just barely beating Garrison Hogan lap over lap, just by a couple of hundredths. Last lap it was just the 1/10. he's got to beat him by over a tenth every lap the rest of the way in order to get to Garrison Hogan. I just don't know that Fode's got that in him, but he's closing that gap down ever so slightly here down the back straightaway.
Sometimes it just takes getting into the draft. I think if he gets a little bit closer, he might get a big run, but here they come. 2 laps left to go. Can Garrison Hogan be able to hold off the defending series champion of Tyler Fode? He's going to have 3 miles to determine that.
He got him that time, but again, all it takes is for Hogan to push up a little bit, and they're running up on the lapped car. Matthew Weeks, man, what is wrong with that 11 car? Coming to the white flag. Fode's within 3/10, but I just don't know that he can get any closer.
He's down to 2/10. Garrison Hogan did slide up quite a bit. That's going to put him within just a couple car lengths now. It might be a slide job move if he can be able to dive it into the turn. Tyler Fode might have a shot. He's going to have the high lane in this turn. He's going to have the momentum coming down the back straightaway. Here they come, the final lap. Tyler Fode did a great job getting around turns 1 and 2. Now only a car length behind. He's going to have a shot here. He's going to be right on the back bumper. He's going to take a bump. Garrison Hogan pieces him up. Here comes Tyler Fode, very high lane. Is he going to have the run? It doesn't look like it. It looks like it's going to be all Garrison Hogan. He's going to win it here for the Napa Auto Parts 200 here at Chicagoland. Locks himself into the next round.
Tyler Fode made that a lot closer than I thought he was going to, but still a very strong finish there.
Wreck at the line behind him. Oh, hard hit the 13. Hard into the wall. Oh my gosh, we're going to have to take a look at that. There was a big wreck at the end of the race there. Before they even got to the line.
Tate Lytle was part of it.
Great race for Garrison Hogan for KTT Racing. And that's a picture for Tate Lytle. That's kind of how his night went.
Oh yeah, Stouffer got wrecked before the line by Jesse Racines, it looks like.
Oh no.
Tate was battling and bouncing off of Jordan Owens. Racines kind of wiped out.
We're going to have to take a look at the 13. That's where the wreck starts.
Yeah, Racines kind of wiped out the 13 coming to the line, and it piled in a bunch of guys.
Yeah, it just was a 3-wide situation where they all got together.
And most of them got through, but then Michael Goodman.
The race without being wrecked. And look at the shape of the car now. It's well in doubt destroyed. Good he came back just to get in another one. That's nice of him.
Yep. What a very long but exciting race. Tyler Fode made it run there at the end. Down the track, Goody just into another one.
That was a hard hit for Goody there.
And for Stouffer. Let's talk. Well, go ahead.
Do you want to do that, or do you want to take a look at the finishing order real quick?
Let's take a look at the finishing order first, and then we'll talk to Jonathan Cutlip.
Garrison Hogan able to get the victory over Tyler Fode by 1/10 at the line there. Incredibly close finish considering how far back everyone else was. Jonathan Cutlip made 2 tires work. And an amazing ability there, able to get a 3rd place finish for Jonathan Cutlip. Ethan Burrell came back to a 4th place finish, and R.C. Anderson was only able to get into 5th place after running hard and leading for a lot of the laps here. Trey Holmes finished it in 6th. Nick Indelicado, a very solid 7th place finish. Ethan Stanley had an up and down day. Able to come back to an 8th place. Scott Crump able to round out into a top 10, just the points he needed to be able to make himself competitive to try to make it to the next round. Ryan Gable able to finish out the top 10. Justin Wadsworth, Nick Massey, Gavin Hibbs finished in that position. Johnny Thomas tried to make 2 tires work as well as Jonathan Cutlip, only able to get 14th. David Tooker, not the race he needed to be able to come back from. Finish in the 15th position. Jesse Racines able to come home in 17th, and White Canado 18th. Some of the other drivers of note, Tate Lytle 27th, not the race he wanted to have, nor did Matthew Weeks back there in 33rd. Both of those drivers are going to put themselves in a spot at Talladega they did not want to be in, which is in a position that they need to go out and have a solid finish and have to worry about points now. And that's not the race they wanted to have at a mile and a half here. But they are not the final driver.
Nope. There's one more.
There's one more.
There's one more chaser down there.
There's one more chaser that we still have yet.
Chad Frankenfield.
A little bit more.
38.
A few more. Yeah, 38th, Chad Frankenfield. 6 laps down with a connection issue. That is going to put him, I do believe, in pretty much a must-win situation almost at Talladega. I mean, that's a really, really bad position Chad Frankenfield finds himself in here tonight. So that's going to make it very difficult for him at Talladega. Now we can go ahead and bring up our top 3. Go ahead and, if you want, David, and see if we can bring up Jonathan Cutlip.
Jonathan Cutlip, it's David in the booth. You got us, buddy?
I do.
Hey, Jonathan, how about that 2-tire call, man? At least we were under the impression it was 2 tires. Can you confirm? And then, was that kind of your idea going in there, or how'd you be able to get the lead and hold back Garrison for so long?
Yeah, it definitely was a 2-tire stop. It was one of those things where the setup was just so tight and Dirty Air was making it worse. So I was kind of just hoping to get the best of both worlds and just get more rotation and clean air, and it worked for a while. I just still ended up cooking my right front off.
Well, overall, I mean, a 3rd place finish, though you wanted more going into Talladega, that's exactly what you want, right? To have a really solid finish, considering that a lot of your playoff contenders that you're going up against are going to probably be in a must-win situation, and really you have now a buffer between you and that cutoff line.
It was going into this race. It's like anything can happen with just the way this car was set up. It's just a pack race essentially, and just hopefully you don't get freight trained and end up on the wrong end of it. But yeah, next week's definitely a wild card. Can get taken out last lap, first lap. So it's just one of those things where you just hope to make it to the end and just see where it goes.
All right, well, John, any shout outs before we send you off here tonight?
Yeah, my Fueled Up teammates, my race EPI teammates, you guys up in the booth, David and Gerald. It's always fun to look back on this. Belly Up, TA Services, everyone that just puts this together. It's a blast to just come in here and race with friends, and all the competition, it's getting harder and harder, but it's definitely satisfying to come away with a 3rd place finish.
Awesome, man. Well, congratulations on that 3rd place run, and we'll look forward to seeing you at Talladega.
Yep. Hopefully we're a couple spots better.
That was Jonathan Cutlip. Let's go ahead and bring up Tyler Fody, and I'll ask the first question to him. Tyler Fody, you got us?
Oh yeah.
Well, you almost got me my first win for picking you in the podcast on Thursday night. So you had a heck of a run. Were you a little worried about the curse that I've been having with the picks when you qualified in 22nd there?
Dude, you're telling me. Yeah, I knew it going into tonight. I'm like, I got to do good. I got to do good for Gerald. And then I felt like I put a really good lap together and got out of the car, and it's like, yeah, you're mid-pack. So that was not ideal, but I don't know. Everyone was kind of complaining and struggling the whole time, and I just kind of figured some stuff out and slowly but surely got up there. This race is 5 laps too short, though. I'm telling you, we got to look into extending it a little bit because, man, we were close.
Yeah, Tyler, you expressed a good bit of skepticism regarding your ability to win this one, and then you turned out you were right on the bumper of the race leader coming to the start-finish line. So, take us next week to Talladega. How does this change? A good run, a good points run, and seeing some of your competitors fall back. How does this change your mindset going to Talladega? You just going to try to win that race?
Yeah, that'll be. Well, obviously we'll be able to chill a little bit now. I think we're going to be locked on points, if not really close to doing that. So got to see how everyone else is looking because we'll try and help them out first. I don't know. Ethan had a pretty good margin. And honestly, looking at it now, Ethan, Crump, and Gavel all finished right in front of each other. So we'll take a look at the points and see who needs to have a good run, try and work with them, and then yeah, when it comes down to it, try and get another good result here.
do believe all of them will probably be in with how bad some of the finishes were from some of the other competitors there. But overall, good finish here. Able to get second place. Still haven't got me my win for
I was
picking
trying.
anybody.
I was
I
really
know.
trying.
I saw that. Go ahead and give us your thank yous and shout out here, Tyler. As we had you off here tonight.
Yeah, all the Lake Norman guys, we were bouncing around some setup ideas to try and loosen this thing up, and I feel like it worked. I feel like we were a little quicker than some guys, the whole team really. So shout out to all them. Shout out to JD Design and Jonathan Cutlip. Even though he held me up for a good bit there and might have cost me some lap time, really appreciate him doing the paint schemes for us. The whole team really. So shout out to him, and shout out to you guys here for putting on the broadcast.
That was Tyler Fody, one of our championship favorites, coming home in second place. Has nothing to worry about going into Talladega, which is exactly what he likes. Well, maybe I'll pick him again for Talladega.
Let's do it.
Maybe he'll lead a lap this time at a super speedway.
Yeah.
That was Tyler Fody there. Let's go ahead and see if we can bring up our winner here of Garrison Hogan. Garrison Hogan, you got us?
Yes, sir.
You're able to get it done. You're able to get the victory there. You led in the middle part, you led in the beginning part, and overall at the end, you're able to get the lead and lead it just barely over Tyler Footy. Did you still have something in the bank if he was able to get to you?
Not gonna lie to you, probably not. And I knew that he was saving just a little bit more. And, you know, it's all about the timing of you trying to go and take the lead in that situation. And I knew I had to go get it early to get a gap in between me and him and like RC as well. They were doing really good jobs saving their tire, and John had 2 tires on. So as soon as I kind of felt like it was time to take an advantage and kind of get in front of him and get a gap, that's when I went.
Yeah, Garrison, I mean, you know, we've been asking this question on top, but before I get to the next week of Talladega, you know, when you're coming to the line there, were you ever feeling like you were any danger? I mean, Fody was really running you down there coming to the end. Did you think maybe he would get it in there deep in turn 3 and move you?
I wouldn't worry about him moving me per se. I was full on ready if he did hit me, but like I wasn't really looking back that much. He had more tire, like right front tire specifically, and you could tell. So that plus running the top and you always having to draft, like the leader is at a disadvantage no matter what. If somebody's within the wake, and he was in a perfect spot. But overall, like that was very competitive. It was hard racing, and hopefully we put on a good show. That setup was awful though.
Well, it worked out just for you, able to get the win. So again, congratulations. Now you tie with Matthew Wicks and Tyler Fody for the most wins this year with 2. Only 3 of you have 2 wins now, so that's good company to be in as you try to work your way in. You're guaranteed to the next round, so you got a lot to look forward to. You want to give us your thank yous and shout outs for tonight?
Yeah, shout out to everybody at Fueled Up and Pro Edge. Those are my guys, of course. Everybody knows that. Kicking the tires, they came on board of the car, and you know, it's a beautiful scheme that Jonathan Cutlip put together. So, you know, shout out to JD Designs for the beautiful car there. But overall, like, this league from my time that I came in a few years ago to now, I have to give my props to everybody in here. They have picked up a lot of speed. There's a couple guys specifically that have really picked it up. So, shout out to everybody in here, and Chad for putting on the league, and you guys for the broadcast as well.
Absolutely. Again, congratulations on your second victory of the season, and you're going to go down to the next round to try to see if you can get yourself further and further along at a chance of winning a championship here in the Cup Series. Again, congratulations to Garrison Hogan there for KTT Racing.
Yes, sir. Have a good night, fellas.
Well, that was an exciting race from start to finish. I really thoroughly enjoyed that, David. I know the drivers had a difficult time, and they were all on top of each other. But for us here in the booth, I mean, we never had a lack of action to have to call, did we?
No, we didn't. And we did get feedback from Matthew Weeks on why he fell back so badly. it was damage from the contact on pit road with Chad Frankenfield to the diffuser. It heated up his tires worse, melted him down, and he ended up feeling like he was driving on ice for the last 20 laps. That's why he fell back so bad. So a crazy finish. Weeks losing the advantage. He'll be probably back end of the top 9 here. And we'll have some guys that need to win, right? Chad Frankenfield, Jesse Racimus probably needs to win. Johnny Thomas probably still needs to win. So that's going to make Talladega really exciting. Make sure you tune in next week because that one could get really hectic.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate everyone for tuning in to tonight's race. It was an exciting one here for the Napa Auto Parts 200 here at Chicagoland. We do hope that you are able to tune in next week for Talladega as we do get to a cutoff race. And having a cutoff race at a super speedway always leads to a lot of craziness, and there's going to be some tight points battles going into that cutoff race that you're not going to want to miss. So tune in again. That will be at 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock, or is it 8:30? What is it, Dave? Is it 8:30?
8:30.
8:30. Sorry about that. 8:30 is when we'll be going green flag at Talladega. So do not miss that next Wednesday as we have some more exciting racing for you then. Thank you, everyone. Have yourself a wonderful night. And of course, stay happy.